Hey, what's going on, guys? Just want to do a quick little video here. Well, we'll see how quick it is. Do an overview of my no prep slash build. This one, I wanted to keep this body pretty clean, but after some test and tuning, it's showing a little bit of wear and tear just from testing different suspension setups and body placement. I actually was doing some testing and kissed a pole, and it kind of buckled and cracked all of the paint. So it's not perfect anymore, but the fun part about this is bodies are pretty cheap and you don't have to, do a whole lot to them to get another body going. But this is a 69 Nova. It's obviously pretty popular for the no prep scene. It is a pro line body. Just went with black just because it was easy, quick. I didn't have to do too much to it to make it look too fancy. And I'm always preferable to black anyway, just because my truck's pretty much all black as well. One thing I did like, I actually saw on a Facebook post, is somebody actually had the wing and left it a little bit longer, which I think gives it a little bit nicer of a depth of a wing. But that's pretty much for the body. And as far as wheels and tires, I pretty much just went online and got some 2.2s off of eBay. They're a dual beadlock inside and out. For the rear, I am running AKA Racing Slicks. It's kind of hard to get it to focus there, but that's pretty much what they are. I just kind of painted a stripe on the back to kind of watch my spinning on maybe some slow-mo videos. That's pretty much for the rear. And then for the front, I am running some J Concepts Hotties on some Proline Pomona wheels. It's pretty popular as well. And one thing I did do, one thing I always try to do with all my cars is kind of be functional and look a little bit decent. So what I always do is I have a bunch of extra hexes for the front and rear to kind of get the wider or narrower stance that I'm looking for. For the front, what I did was I actually had some axial, really narrow wheel hexes, which are 12 millimeter, and I kind of bored out the middle of it to fit over these shafts for the slash because they're a little bit thicker. And then they're kind of pushed in pretty far, and then maybe that'll be better. Pushed in kind of far, and you can kind of see I actually had to put a rubber grommet in there just so I could push it in all the way, because these studs in the front are relatively long. Here, maybe I can get a better video of the rear. Yeah, the AKA. A little sticker in the back there. But yeah, that's pretty much it for the outside in the wheels and tires. Take off the hood here. And this is basically started out 5 years ago as a just regular high CG chassis, high center of gravity, two-wheel drive slash VXL. Bashed on it relatively hard for the first year or so, kept breaking parts, fixing parts. But some of the good stuff that I did, I am glad I did purchase was all the caster blocks and kind of Traxxas hardware here up front. I am running RPM arms front and rear. These are actually the Traxxas, kind of their air quote big bore shocks, and I actually had some other springs laying around, and they're actually a pretty stiff spring rate, so the front doesn't do the whole body chatter. And what I did here is I had an extra N2G front bumper that actually, luckily, I had this on. Yeah, it cracked my body, but good thing I had it on there, and it kind of bent it a little bit. But I would have just straight up broke this fiberglass brace up front and probably would have done some more damage if I didn't have that. So I am glad I threw that on there. And then I am running Savox servo Metal Gear. Nothing too fancy. I think it's like 40-50 bucks. Yeah, I'm running the Traxxas slash steering as well. And so we can kind of jump in here, and as far as like the ESC and whatnot. So as far as my electronics, I would say I'm pretty conservative on what I'm running. I'm just running the standard slash And I actually had, I actually just bought my daughter a was it Teton Traxxas? We actually have the same transmitter. I accidentally bought it, but I actually have the same exact remote for my Slash. But I kept it pretty basic. I didn't want to go all out. Just want to, it's just a hobby. So I have other race trucks and stuff that I kind of mess with. So this is just one of my no prep stuff. And then I do have an aluminum battery tray mount holder STRC, and I'm running a Turnigy. What is this? 5600 milliamp hour, 50 to 100 C discharge, LiPo 2S. You can only run 2S LiPo for the no prep stuff. So I'm just kind of getting it tuned in there. And then I'm running a Hobby Wing. Let's see here. See if we can get it to. It's actually here in the front. It's actually the Max 10 SCT RTR. I believe it's 830 BC, but 120 amp nonetheless, and it runs really, really well. And then I have that paired with a Castle Creation. I actually had this in my race truck, but the ESE, the Mamba Max, actually took a crap on me, so had to scrap that. But the motor was still good. So 3800 4-pole. Nothing too fancy. Like I said, it's just, what I had kind of laying around. Found the ESC online for about, I think it was $75 just off of eBay. Got here about a week or so. I actually had a 60 amp in here just to kind of play around with it, but this Castle motor, it likes the juice, so those kind of doubled the amps there, and it kind of was cogging pretty bad with the 60 amp just because it just couldn't keep up, which makes sense. So let's see what else. I do have the Proline Power Stroke shocks, and I actually have a full set, but what I did was, these are actually the front shocks, and what I did was I took the rear longer spring and just put it on here just so I can give me that adjustability that I was looking for. It's relatively soft. I mean, it's not too stiff, but I was doing some testing out with these new tires, and it worked pretty well. I was happy with them. Another thing I did was the whole fun part about this whole hobby is you can kind of pick and choose what you want to run in your car. And what I did was I actually went to the hobby shop and found these. These are actually for an SCX10 axial, and just kind of just bolted them there. And it kind of gives me a little bit more of an adjustability as far as the positioning of the shocks. And then another thing I did was I mounted these braces right here from the chassis to the tower here, and we give it a little bit more rigidity as far as flexing. I actually tested this out the other day without them and then with them. So I would say it helped up a lot as far as traction goes. One thing I had to do was mess with the kind of the camber for these wheels and tires. As far as when it squats, I do have a good amount. It's kind of hard to see on camera, but a good amount of positive camber in the rear. I was debating whether to change around the positioning of all the electronics, kind of go down the middle. I actually have a brace I could put, or a plate that I could put right about here for the ESC, and then I can actually just take the speed controller, take it out of here, and mount it probably in here somewhere if I wanted to. But it works pretty well for what it is. And move on to the rear as far as gearing. I am running 48 pitch still, and I am running a 28 pinion and 76 spur. Works pretty well. I accidentally bought the wrong pinion a while back. I actually started off with the 3676, which was way too tall of a gear, and it kind of took it a little bit to kind of launch with that gearing. It's a lot more top end, which worked great up top, but just didn't have the torque down low. And then I ordered a 24 pinion, and it definitely helped with the bottom end. I felt like it kind of plateaued a little bit up top, so I just kind of jumped it up a couple of more teeth. So 2876 I think is pretty good. A good setup for right now. Once I get to maybe some club racing, or actually testing out my skills against other people, we'll see how that kind of holds up. I am, like I said, I'm running RPM arms in the rear. One thing for these Street Eliminator cars is you have to narrow the rear ends, and the best way to do that is to narrow the arms. So you have to use bandit rear arms. I didn't order the axles or the turnbuckles. I kind of just cut them down. The slash ones are actually, what did they say? They're actually stiffer as far as rigidity. So just had a bunch of them laying around, so I just cut them down. And like I said, I am running all the slash pretty, I guess, anodized aluminum carriers and stuff. I have an RPM case as well. I do have a stock diff, but I did JB Weld and just locked it, which a lot of people just do spools, or they put some super thick weight oil in there, like I think it's like 1 million some people use. Just, trial and error, just figure out what you like and what you want to do with it. I did build my own wheelie bar, which I think works pretty well. I do have an XCX10 Axial, and I upgraded all the arms from the plastic to the aluminum. So what I did was I just kind of made my own wheelie bar. It works pretty well. I haven't touched the wheelie bar too much. I don't want it to be a wheelie monster like some cars. They kind of just ride the wheelie bar all the way down the 132 foot for the quarter mile. What I did notice is when it does hit the wheelie bar, and what I've been watching a lot of videos is people have, relatively long, 10, 12 inch wheelie bars, and they're really stiff, and they're all pretty high end. They're, either aluminum or carbon fiber. But what they're doing is whenever they're lifting, it's unloading the rear tires, and because it's shocking it so bad, and it, unloads them, and it kind of just goes wherever it wants to go. With this one, I've noticed it has a little bit of give. So if it goes too far, it doesn't try to unload the back tires as bad. It still could if it wanted to, but I think having a little bit of give kind of helps it stay planted as far as in the rear. And also, I just had a couple bearings, a bunch of extra bearings. I changed out all the bearings for this car, and that's one thing, is you don't want to have as least resistance as possible. For all of these, for Roland's sake. But yeah, I think that's pretty much it. That's pretty much the overview of my car. I mean, it's nothing crazy. It's nothing special. I would say it's a pretty solid starter as far as for right now. If I want to, change up some other stuff down the road, but for right now, it'll do basically. Let me a little closer up of the wheels. All it is white out. Show you the other side. But yeah, if you guys like the video, I can upload more of these. Just let me know if you have any questions about the car, or how to kind of get into all of this. Just let me know, and kind of answer all those questions as possible. But yeah, thanks, and we'll talk with you later.